Shows how little you know politics.
Choose your destiny.
You can go left or you can go right. You can go forward, but never ever back.
I want to hear your thoughts.
Good evening, my little one. I shall make you psychotic.
Mommy, what does psychotic mean?
Hey, how y'all doing out there? How y'all feel? Remember, an educated public cannot be controlled. Learn to be active. Views and events expressed here are totally whacked, not necessarily the views of anyone. ¿Cómo estás? Bien, bien, bien. ¿Podemos ayudarnos más? Sí, se puede. Don't take my word for it. Look that shit up. Please. For your own benefit. Natural Instincts is the name of the show today. I don't know that I really want to do a monologue. I really don't know if the audience connects to those. Sometimes I feel really silly. Let's read this post right here. Can y'all see this? Internet's a little wonky right now. Houston, Texas, Woodland, Sugarland, Texas. It says in 2020, Houston, Texas had a population of 2.31 million people with a median age of 33.3 and a median household income of 53,600. Between 2019 and 2020, the population of Houston, Texas grew from 2.31 million to 2.31 million, a 0.121% increase, and its median household income grew from 52,338 to 53,600, a 2.41 increase. The five largest ethnic groups in Houston, Texas are white Hispanic 27.4, white non-Hispanic 24.1, Black African American non-Hispanic 22.3, other Hispanic 11.1, and Asian non-Hispanic 6.8%. Houston, Texas School District is now eliminating librarians and replacing school libraries with discipline centers after Texas Republicans forcibly took over the district using state power. Yeah, what's his name? Miles making this decision. It's really making waves about that. I'm gonna come back to that because I have some more stuff on that. I don't know, man. I swear, it just seems like they're trying to do their best they can to any kind of like public services, you know, even the regular libraries that have nothing to do with the schools, anything community that can help the community or, that's available for everyone equally, they want to eliminate, put price tags on it. I heard that the library downtown was closing, or the cooling centers were closing. I'm not sure. I'm a little thrown off right now. Let me see. Let's play this. Is there no sound? It says real environmental activism versus fake environmental activism. I think this makes a good point right here. And It says, guess which ones actually gets media coverage, people going out there and taking care of business, out there in the grind, you know, trying to clean up the environment that people are like, meh. But when someone goes out there and throws paint on a covered painting or something, talking about their environmental activism, I don't know. It's a crazy world that we live in. People that really care are out there grinding and they don't get any attention. People that appear to care are the ones that gets the attention. It's so what's the word? It's so shallow. It's so um this is what I think about a lot. People are fake. People are so superficial is the word I'm looking for. You know, they're skin deep. They don't want people to know the true them. So they put on a mask, they fake, you know, and that's what gets people's attention. And the thing is, once you dig a little deeper and get to know them or whatever a little bit, then they run away or whatever. Like they're afraid. They're afraid of people actually knowing who they really are. You know, it's like the internet, and like I try to tell my daughters, it's like this stuff is fake. It's all fake. You're watching Instagram or TikTok videos of people living like these lavish lifestyles and going on vacation every week or something like that. And it's really just not real. Like most of them are not doing that. I saw a video earlier today about like a guy, he has a business where he sells time for people to come and get aboard of basically a fake private jet, and then take Instagram pictures getting on the jet and sitting on it or whatever. It never takes off. And just to appear that they are flying in a private jet or whatever. And, their Instagram followers eat it up. No one's to know that it's not real or whatever. Who's to know? The pictures look real. They're just not going anywhere. They rent it a little bit of time to get on, take pictures getting on this plane and then sitting on the plane for a while to take some pictures, and then they get off. It's all fake, man. It's all fake. And fake is winning, Fake is winning. Fake personalities, fake attitudes, fake boobs, BBLs, people appearing to be rich, like people, they maybe they have the nice car. They're probably renting it, or maybe they are paying for the nice car and they're freaking eating noodles and tomato soup to be able to make it through every month. Makes me want to vomit. How fake everything is. Makes me sad. Can y'all hear me, or am I talking to my damn self? Makes me sad. Let's check this one. It says, as planet burns, Shell reports $5 billion in profits and plans to ramp up fossil fuels. Every house burned to the ground, every town forced to evacuate, every ecosystem lost to a wildfire is a necessary consequence of a business model like Shell's. Common Dreams posted this. They said, which with much of the world reeling from record-shattering heat and devastating wildfires, the London-based oil giant Shell is poised to ramp up its investments in planet-warming fossil fuels after ditching its plan to cut oil production. Analysis Thursday by the rights group Global Witness estimates that Shell's investments in oil and gas projects are set to surge to around $14.5 billion this year, a 10% increase over 2022. The company is expected to spend far less on what it defines as renewable and energy solutions. Fossil fuels are the number one cause of climate breakdown, which is stoking extreme heat waves, forest fires, and drought, said Jonathan Naranha Gant, a senior campaign at Global Witness. Every house burnt to the ground, every town forced to evacuate, every ecosystem lost to a wildfire is a necessary consequence of a business model like Shell's, which prioritizes short-term cash grabs over safety and survivability of our societies. The new analysis came as Shell reported 5.1 billion in second quarter profits, a major decline compared to the company's record-setting 11.5 billion in profits during the same period last year. Despite the profit dip, which Shell blamed on falling oil and gas prices, the company announced 15% quarterly dividend increase and 3 billion in stock buybacks. Wait a minute, I have to look at this. So they said profits during the same period last year. COVID. Let me read this. It says CEO Wells Swan's fossil fuel direction continues to be solely aimed to profit for shareholders. Nine de Pater and campaigner with Friends of the Earth Netherlands said in a statement, "This is immoral and completely irresponsible. We're seeing the impact of the climate crisis around the world this summer. The wildfires in Greece, the heat records in Southern Europe, Algeria, and India, among others, and the floods in Italy and Afghanistan. Shell's profits clearly show that the company chooses profit over human lives." Yeah, these companies made so much money with COVID. They made so much money with COVID, even though they're making money this next year, it's nowhere close to what, it's a lot less actually than what they made right after COVID. COVID was a boom for a lot of these companies, man. They cashed in. This lady, I guess she wanted to be famous, so she succeeded. There's her mugshot right there. It says, as we previously reported, Carly Russell has been charged with 2 misdemeanors in connection to her kidnapping hoax. Yeah. Guess people do whatever to be famous nowadays. Yep. And that's what I was saying. I was like, she should be held accountable for that. So I guess it's good news. 46-year-old worm comes back to life after thawing. Genome analysis of roundworms nematode from the Ice Age came back to life when defrosted and revealed a new species. Scientists found that 46,000-year-old nematode found in the interior permafrost belongs to a previously undescribed species, Panaglamorus. In 2018, Russian researchers revived the 2 frozen individual nematodes from a fossilized burrow in the sites deposited in Siberian permafrost. Radiocarbon dating revealed that these nematodes have been in cryptobiosis since about 46,000 years ago during the late Ice Age. New research found that the mild dehydration prior to freezing enhanced its preparation for cryptobiosis and increased survival at 112 degrees Fahrenheit. And like other species of nematode, it produces the sugar at a biochemical level when mildly dehydrated in the lab, potentially enabling them to withstand the dehydration. So I don't know. Maybe this kind of stuff will help them figure out how to freaking, freeze other organisms and be able to bring them back to life. Or, a lot of these organisms have a lot of resistance. Like they're able to go into these kind of states of being, where they preserve themselves. Like, I don't think all animals can do it, I think there's only certain species that can actually pull it off. I was really surprised when I learned that how like there's some fish that can do some stuff like that. Like they just, when the drought comes, they just kind of curl up and dig themselves into the mud and kind of like go to sleep. And they can do that for years until the water comes back again. And there's other species that do stuff like that. So, they can feel themselves getting frozen, and they do a similar thing where they take themselves into like a sleep state or whatever, and when conditions come back around, then they're able to just regenerate or reanimate, or whatever the word is you want to use. I think this kind of stuff is really, really cool. Really, really cool. You know, who knows what the scientists can actually learn from this and how they can apply it, different applications from the information they get from this. But they want to do, be able to freeze humans and wake them up in the future or whatever. I just don't know if you can actually pull that off with humans. Someone said how they know how old them worm is. It said, what did it say? Dating. What did it say? They probably used the ice that was around it and the dirt and stuff that was around the animal and dated that to come up with the date for the actual worm, because they couldn't get a date from the worm. They would have to get it from its surrounding material, like the material that it was in. Most likely that's how they came up with the date. And the thing is, with those kinds of dates, the carbon dating can be pretty accurate, but they, within a substantial margin of error. That's why I said 46,000 years ago, because, give or take a couple thousand years, Either way, long ass time ago. Radiocarbon dating, yeah. Comments, it says, nope, nope, nope. We just finished a global pandemic. Let's not unleash some prehistoric shit onto the world. Another one that says, anyone else calling this a bad idea? Another comment that says, anti-new pandemic time button. Another comment that says, so I Googled nematodes and they only live roughly 20 days. So they're surviving 46,000 years just to die before my next period. Well, they could reproduce again. Who knows what'll happen? It's still really cool. Regardless, it's still really cool. Another comment says, sometimes dead is better. Oh man, that's a comment from what is that from? That's from Stephen King's Pet Cemetery. Yes, man, I love that movie. I read that book too. It was a great read. And when they remade they remade it, they like updated and they followed the story like exactly. So you got the old version of the movie, and then you got a newer version of the movie, and I was happy with it. It followed the story still really good. So, if you follow the story, Stephen King writes some pretty cool stuff. If you follow his story, it's gonna be good, I think. Yeah, sometimes dead is better. That was one of the lines from the book. The guy said a few times. It was the older character who was trying to like warn them to not use the pet cemetery. Like sometimes dead is better. So the people bury the cat or whatever in the pet cemetery. It was like supposedly an old Indian burial ground or whatever. And then the animal comes back to life, but it's not the same animal, and it's kind of like possessed or whatever. And then the guy, his kid died, and he did the same thing with his kid. The kid came back all demonic or whatever, ended up killing the mom. And then the husband still didn't learn his lesson. He still freaking, after all of that, he still went and buried his wife out there too. She came back too, of course. It's a great story though. Really entertainment. I love horror fiction. It's my favorite thing to read. Another comment says, have we learned nothing? Ian Malcolm. Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they didn't stop to think if they should. What is that from? That sounds familiar, but I don't know what that's from. Was it Spider-Man? That's a movie quote too. Let me read another one. It says, "Why are we defrosting old new species? Is there not enough craziness going on? LOL. Do we need another potentially catastrophic thing to worry about?" Another one that says, "Here comes the zombie apocalypse." None of these comments are positive. Another one that says, "Maybe it's too early in the day, but what is the point in scientists spending their resources and time on this? How is this relevant to society today?" Well, they learned how the worm was able to preserve itself, and what processes it went through. And then they can use that information and copy it or whatever, to create like new technologies and stuff. That's how we learn new things, That's how we come up with new technologies and things. Like, people are always afraid. Like, people don't have anything positive to say, especially when they don't really understand things. That's why education, and I'll say it over and over again, but like, education is key, man. People learn more things, then they can understand better. And then you can actually make comments that are relevant, Whatever. People get upset when I say that. Learn some more stuff. Like, all that people care about is making money, That's where people put value in, making money, And I think about our species as humans, and through our evolution and stuff, how much time since we've been here have we just spent just making money, That's really a really new thing. So then you think about, what were we doing before? We were being creative, innovative, creating technologies, loving and caring for each other, all kinds of things not related to making money. And, so me being the person that I am, people look at me like I'm stupid because of the things I do, but I'm not. Making money is not my number one priority. I mean, I do it because I have to, right? Basically, because it costs to live now. Like, you need money. There's no denying it. That's the way the system is set up. But at the same time, I just don't feel like it should be my number one all motivation for existence. Like, make more money, make more money, make more money. And you do become more comfortable. You do get to live better in a lot of situations. But then what do you give up for that? Because if you're working all the time, if you're thinking about money all the time, then what kind of life are you living? Even if you do have these luxuries and pleasures or whatever. Call me crazy.
That could mean higher rent no matter where you live in the metro.
Almost 2 years after the pandemic-related eviction moratorium in Georgia ended, Atlanta landlords are still dealing with a backlog in the court system.
Some are waiting over a year to go before a judge. Atlanta News First investigative reporter Rachel Polanski explains how that is impacting renters right now.
This is requesting
Clayton County landlord,
short date, right?
it is, Laverne Deloach, is fed up.
We've gotten no answers. We've made phone calls to every person that we can think of, every number that we've been given. We've just dead ended.
Deloach says her tenant stopped paying rent in October. She filed for an eviction in December. 6 months later, she was still waiting for her day in court.
I think maybe Clayton County needs to reevaluate their systems or their processes, and I think they need to be restructured, and I think there should be some accountability.
Clayton County's chief magistrate court judge admits that there is a backlog, due in large part to COVID, but says the county has hired more judges and added more eviction calendars to eliminate the caseload.
It is devastating financially. It is very frustrating.
Over in DeKalb County, landlord Vladimir Yampolsky also filed for an eviction in December. 7 months later, his tenant is still living in his home.
And they're sitting there, not paying rent. They don't have any incentive to move because they know it may go forever.
Both Yampolsky and Deloach are not corporate landlords. Yampolsky is a retired music teacher, and Deloach is a former healthcare provider. Both invested in real estate to save for retirement. And now, they're worried about foreclosure.
We're borrowing money to pay for mortgage. We're in the red. We're about to lose our house.
I'm not here to make a lot of money. I just want to make a living.
Atlanta News First Investigates reached out to every magistrate court in the metro, and we uncovered eviction court backlogs in Clayton, DeKalb, and Fulton counties. And the delays do not end in the courtroom. Once a ruling is issued, all evictions in Georgia must be supervised by a marshal or sheriff's deputy. And we found some of those agencies are also playing catch up. Today, there are 2,600 cases in the Fulton County Marshal's Department just waiting to be completed.
It took about 18 months to get through that entire process. So we waited basically for a year to get to court, and then we waited an additional 6 months after that for the actual sheriff's eviction.
You heard right. 18 months from the day property manager Todd Orchide filed an eviction to the day the tenant was evicted from this Fulton County townhome. In your time in this industry, have you ever seen anything like this?
Oh, no. Atlanta's always been relatively smooth for these sorts of things. Cases used to be processed in 4 to 6 weeks.
It's gotten so bad that Orchide is now encouraging investors to buy elsewhere.
They're looking for a place where their risk is low. And if they're looking at that, they're going to say, well, I have a much better opportunity in these outlying counties than I do in Fulton and DeKalb in these areas because my risk is just higher in those counties.
And the ripple effect has already begun. Orchide says most Metro Atlanta landlords are either raising rent or security deposits to compensate for the additional risk.
Ultimately, who really suffers is the 99% of tenants who are good tenants. It's creating an even greater affordable housing crisis.
And then we have a mess in here.
As for Laverne DeLoach, 2 weeks after we got involved,
It makes more sense.
her tenants moved out.
We've noticed that there's bullet holes in the screened-in porch in the woods. So someone literally, there's bullet casings on the floor.
But she's still out $17,000 in unpaid rent. And after this experience,
We lost our money. We lost our investment.
she says she's getting out of the rental business.
I mean, we have no choice. At this point, we have to sell and cut our losses.
And we also have an update on Vladimir Yampolsky's case. Just weeks after we got involved, a DeKalb County judge ruled in his favor. Then a marshal came out to this house and the tenant was evicted. But Yampolsky tells us he is still out $26,000 in unpaid rent. Now, the house sits largely empty. Yampolsky has since hired a team of contractors who have moved everything out, and now they're in the process of cleaning everything up. The next step is finding a new tenant. Reporting in DeKalb County, Rachel Polanski, Atlanta News First.
You can get more on Rachel's investigation right now on the Atlanta News First app. There, we also have a look behind the investigation where you can get insight and analysis.
An eviction backlog that
Yeah, so I think the worst part of this is the part where it says that, it's causing rent to go up and people having to pay higher deposits and so forth. People trying to cover their risk or whatever. And I get it, it makes sense. But at the end of the day, it's already crazy, how much you have to pay for rent. And a lot of times, these rent people, I was saying it before, they could afford to buy a home. They could. It's just that they're kind of stuck. Like they don't have the money for the deposit, or they have a couple of little blotches on their credit or whatever that's keeping them from it. And then you get to pay rent forever. You get nothing in return. You get to get out of the apartment and with nothing. It's really a scam the way I look at it, and it really sucks. So then it's upward pressure on the prices. So the good suffer with the bad. So you have a couple of bad eggs, and then those people cause everyone else to suffer even more. Really sad. It says Atlanta 72,000 evictions so far for 2023. Thousands more backlogged coming. It says Atlanta area evictions surpassed 70,000 in first half of year. Since the start of 2023, the 5 counties at the core of Atlanta metro area have reported 72,000 evictions. In June alone, there were reported 11,000 new evictions, according to the data tracked by and published by the Atlanta Federal Reserve Bank. So Conundrum posted this. She says, the eviction tsunami I warned about in 2020 and 2021 is here. I wasn't fear-mongering, I was warning. Now you can't argue with me anymore. Reality trumps denial. It was inevitable because they allowed people to withhold rent payments, but the banks didn't forgive any mortgages. They simply postponed and deferred, but the mortgage payments were still owed. Last week, I showed you guys my neighbor has been evicted for $73,500 in back rent for failure to pay since October 2021 to June 2023. Damn, rent was $3,500 per month. This is serious, people, and it's about to get extremely bad. As much as people want to declare housing as a human right, you don't have the right to force another private citizen nor company to house you for rent free. Real estate has been the number one wealth builder for the middle class, and now that's being removed. This is the true asset grab. You seeing the bigger plan now? I don't think people understand exactly how bad this is going to be. Time to strategize, time to think about creating solutions. Yeah, so you know what the result is going to be. Those investment firms are going to just come in and buy all these homes at base prices, and probably turn them all into rental homes. Nobody will ever be able to buy them again. No one will be able to own them again. Everybody's going to be renting. It's like they want to create a nation full of renters. The people in apartments, the people in houses, everybody renting, and everything owned by investment firms. They're the only ones that got the liquid cash to just come in and freaking buy this stuff outright. Scary times. Let me read some comments. It says, some of y'all should have kept grandma's paid off house too, or used the proceeds for your own down payment. I would never sell any property I have unless it's to buy another. And even with that, I'd rather pull from my equity. Real estate is the key to wealth. Man. Like, that's why I'm in the position I'm in, I swear, because my parents had 2 homes that was given to them, and they screwed them off and lost them. If they had kept those properties, then I would be in a totally different position in my life right now. It's really sad and unfortunate. Yeah, those and I'm in Houston, and like in the third world area, it's a lot of older folks who own their homes there, and like they're not all that, but they still own them. They're theirs. All you have to do is pay the property taxes and keep it moving. But what happens is when these old folks pass away, and then the kids fight over the property, and it always ends up getting sold. They get their little pennies, they go home, and they're still over here renting. It's really, really, really sad. It'd be so much better if they would keep those properties, and if they do sell them, like this guy says, we'll buy some more property, work together. People are so selfish nowadays that they can't work together. They can't trust each other. They all worried about their $20. It's like, what about my $20? God, I hate it so much. It'll make me cry right now thinking about that. How people behave towards each other, and they're so worried about like $20. Like, oh my God, like it's gonna really make a difference in your freaking life. That $20. No long-term thinking, no community thinking, no working together. It's all about me. Grab, take, selfish, all about me. And that's it. Screw you. What am I getting out of it? Let me read some more comments. It says, all of this is to remove any chance for middle-class citizens to have a chance to peek into the upper-class window. They need a permanent working class. This is only the beginning. See, there goes another example of it. It's permanent working class. When you're stuck and you're paying rent and you can't get out of the cycle, then you have to go work these jobs, and you have to go work for these people, because these people they need workers, but it's like you're forced into this labor, because a lot of people would do different if they could, but they're stuck, and they have to pay so much just to make it each month that they can't get out of their position. They're stuck. And the rich get richer and the poor stay poor. The opportunities for actually moving through the class structure becomes less and less and less. And I believe that the middle class is an illusion anyways. It's an illusion. It's an owner class and a worker class, and that's what you got. A lot of these people who think they're, in the owner class or in the upper class or whatever, are really just workers who get paid decently. You're not middle class. If you have to work, if you can't take 6 months, a year, 2 years off of work and still be okay, you're in the working class, bro. Stop it. Don't lie to yourself. These folks in the owner class, they cannot go to work for 5 years and still be in the same position they was in. You cannot do that. That's why we should have this class solidarity, but we can't have it because they got us fighting on Republican, Democrat, white, black, liberal, conservative, middle class, working class, blue collar, white collar, all this fucking illusions, gay, straight, transgender, whatever, all of these divisions that separate us and put us in these little segments. We're all the same people. We all have to deal with the same shit. It's crazy. We're not dealing with the same shit that these owner class people are, though. So that's why we should have solidarity with each other. But we can't even realize who we are on the same level playing field with. Like, we don't even realize who our peers are. And then it's the illusion that people think that they could make it to that upper class. And that's the reason why they allow the system to be so effed up, is because it's the individual ass think of me winning the lottery and possibly making it. Like, it could be a chance that you make it, but it's like 1 out of a billion chance, And so, but what about everybody else? Like, everybody can't be LeBron James, like I like to say, It's only one LeBron James, bro. Like, what about the rest of the kids, So that's the way the system works. Okay, it let a few squeak by, and the rest of us stay in the working class, bro. But we uphold the system just so we can have that 1 in a billion chance of being one of the ones who make it. Really crazy. When we could change the system and make it so words that people who work hard, people that really do work hard, really do have a chance. It's an illusion. The American dream is an illusion. It's really more like the lottery. Let me read this. It says, now's the time to invest in U-Haul storage units. My hunch is might even be some money in hotels if they start subsidies for housing. That's just a hunch, though. Maybe that's true. Really, really sad, but damn, those storage units, they rip people off like crazy. That's such a shady business. That's like how these not the junkyards, the places where they take the like repossessed cars or cars that get tow yards. I guess that's what you want to call them. That's a super shady business. Super, super, super shady. They make so much money off of that. And it's like the overdraft fees too. It's like making all of this money off of people who don't have it. They need their car, so they're just gonna pay. They need their bank account, so they're just gonna pay. They're gonna go without. They're not gonna eat so that they can take care of that. So it's really, really like the pinch is on. People are paying half of their income just for rent and utilities, the bills to stay alive, and food. And they have a little bit of money to try to do something else, with. But then that gets gobbled up by the car got towed, they parked in the wrong spot, or, a couple of bills came out that was off time and it caused them to have an overdraft, or, just an unfortunate series of events. Enough of those unfortunate series of events and you can end up homeless. And like I say, I feel like the homeless is just a reminder of what can happen to you. It's a threat. And that's the reason why you have to get up and go to work, because you're thinking about that, your job, they get mad at you. You're late one time too many. You know, you make a mistake at work. That on top of everything. Let's say you get suspended from work for a week. That's killer, man. That's like a whip. That's the same thing as like when you're in slavery and you get beaten with a whip. That's what that week suspension is for most workers. The people who don't get paid salary, you know, that week off of work is killer. That's killer. You might not even be able to come back from that. And then you end up living in a hotel. And that's how it is. You're spending a lot more money now just to freaking maintain. Oh my God, this is terrible, terrible ass system. You know, because once you get to that point where you're like living in a room, then you're spending more than half of your income on freaking just living. How do you get out of that? How do you move forward? How do you gain that stability again? Nobody wants to help. There's no help. You're like, oh, there's help all over the place. Get the F out of here, man. It's lots of people who live like that, who stuck in hotels and they're stuck in rooms. They have jobs. They work. They make good money. But all their money is going to their room and shit and just eating and just getting back and forth to work. They can't get out of it. They need money for a down payment. Like how much it costs to get into an apartment is ridiculous. You know, they want first and last month rent. They want deposit. You know, they want you to make 3 times whatever the rent is, sometimes 4 times the amount. And then the rents are really high. And these people can pay the rent, but they can't come up with the paperwork to show that they make 3-4 times the amount of rent. And they can't come up with that big, huge ass deposit added to first and last month's rent. How do you know? If you don't think that's by design, you're crazy. Let me read another one. It says, I've seen landlords use their own eviction teams. They hedge that if a tenant can't pay, they can't afford to sue for unlawful eviction. And if it goes to court, it will be a wash. Even seen landlords take off electrical boxes, take off all the doors to the house, but they wasn't going to wait 6 months or a year to get out. You know, got to do what you got to do. Sometimes I ain't going to lie, you know. I feel like these people, all these people who like had that rent moratorium or whatever, because man, if I didn't have to pay rent, I'd be rich in like a couple of months. Like literally, I swear to God, that's my huge bill. If you gave me 3 months without paying rent, I'd be rich, bro. I'd be able to go freaking buy a house. I'm telling you, or whatever I want to do, invest, buy some shit like that's gonna make me some money. What were these people doing when they had the rent moratorium and they were sitting there not paying rent? What were they doing with their money during that time? Like, I don't get it. I don't get how you can go 3-6 months, a year without having to pay rent and you are still in a messed up position, like, and have to get evicted and be out on your ass and shit. Like, shit, you should have made a come up. But I guess the same person that's thinking like, I don't want to pay my bills is not the same person who's thinking like, I'm finna flip this money, I'm finna save it and stick it in the bank and make some moves. I guess these are not the same people. Like the person that pays their rent on time and regularly, you know, is the one that's thinking about the future. But the person who's like, I just want to ball for this month or whatever, they was probably going to the mall and buying freaking Louis Vuitton and shit. Let me read this. It says, this financial crisis will make the Great Depression look like a spring picnic. We're talking about a global sovereign debt crisis, bankruptcy of governments because of continuous bailouts by the Federal Reserve Bank. You know, and if we're not already in a recession, we're definitely heading into one, you know, a depression. Like, definitely, without a doubt. Like, how are we going to get out of this one? You know, and that's where revolutions happen. You know, once people are hungry, they don't have nowhere to stay. You know, they work hard, but they still can't get by. You know, That's when people are gonna come together. The pitchforks and torches are coming, bro. Let me read this one. It says, first the delinquent utility crisis, now this. You never miss, sis, bittersweet. I'm thankful for your insights and heads up. However, the empath in me is saddened for my fellow humans who are suffering. The game of chess that's being played is strong and catching many off guard. Buckle up, folks. This is shaping up to be one hell of a ride. If you are blessed to weather the storms, stay low key. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Stay safe, aware, and humble. Yep. You know, and another side effect to this is people are afraid to take risks. People are afraid to start new businesses. People are afraid to like take that new job, you know, because of the instability that could happen as a result. You know, the people are afraid to try to move up, you know, and they just stay where they are because, you know, something could go wrong and then that could be asked out, you know. It's really, really sad. Let me read another one. It says, it's one to have had money, but to have had money and didn't pay because the moratorium is another. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, they had to have money at some point. Like, 3 months passed. Like, I get it. You know, things happen. But 3 months, 6 months passed. You still haven't got your shit together. I get it with the back rent because that shit keeps adding up, and then you just, you know. But if you started paying something to them, then I'm sure that they're gonna work with you. You know, give you a chance to catch up. They were probably balling out of control. Yeah, I think I want to move on. I lost a house before. I used to own a house. I lost it. I was foreclosed on, but I ain't gonna lie, it was totally my fault. I could have kept the house. My my partner died, and I went from 2 incomes to one, and I had a small child to take care of, and I was just stressed the hell out with all the bills and everything. And like I say, I could have paid. I could have kept paying. But I was just, I don't know. I went kind of crazy. I ain't gonna lie. I should have kept that house. I really do. It's kicking myself in the ass every day for not doing that. But I just I don't know. I just felt so overwhelmed. I just didn't want to deal with it anymore. And then it got to the point where I could have sold the house too, but I was dragging my feet with that. I ended up missing the date, and it happened. Should have sold the house. I didn't even sell the house. I let them freaking take it. But I didn't have anyone in my corner giving me good advice, and I wasn't in the right frame of mind. I was going through like a depression, so I was making a slew of bad decisions. I wish I could go back, do that all over again. I learned my lesson though. But the thing is, once you fall down like that, the time it takes to get back up, it's been 10 years now, and I'm still not at the point where I could get back to that again, like actually go buy a house. All this grinding I've done, and I'm still not at the point that I was over 10 years ago because I fell down. They make it harder and harder for you to get up. Let me read this. It says, listen to this situation. I'm a tenant. The rent started at $1,700 first year. At month 8 or 9, she wanted to end the lease to raise the rent. Couldn't do it. Then she refuses to renew the lease, but keeps amending it. So now we're at $1,870. A year and a half later, now starting 8/1, boom, it's $2,100. It's a 2-residence property. The property is generating to pay itself off. Well, what she paid for it the last 2 years with just my rent alone. Now I see a lot of landlords steady raising rent to find lifestyles. It's cool for them, but they got to know us cash payers will get our stuff together and move out, and what they get next might not pay up or take care of their property. It sucks, but I'll downsize my spending to move out and buy a house by the top of the year. This shit is crazy. You know, a lot of greed comes into this too, It's crazy because then once the property is paid off, then it's all butter for them. And then they want to keep raising it. And it's because they look at the, what do they call it? The competitive pricing or whatever. Like they look at how much people are paying in the same area or whatever. And then like, that's that upward pressure, and it's like, okay, well, the neighbor's charging this much and the other neighbor's charging this much on the next street. They're charging this much. Then boom, I can do the same because then these people don't have anywhere else to go. They have to pay it. Let me read this one. It says commercial real estate crash now. The renters explosion. Chimbay government created this problem with the fake as deferral. This was to push small landlords out the market for BlackRock and then White Shoes, Boys Off Wall Street, and venture capitals to take reign. Typical bait and switch. Another one that says California put evictions on your credit report. A lot of people can't get homes due to that, but at the same time, purposely not paying rent and you had job, you should be evicted because you only play yourself and should have been taking the money to invest in buying a home and some land at least. It's pretty much what I said. Let me read some more. It says, she's not out $17K in unpaid rent. She's out double or triple that due to the damages to the house. God forbid they stop paying utilities too, then there is a lien on the house. It goes from bad to worse. Not easy times for us landlords. Economy not getting better anytime soon, despite today's Bidenomics headline. Yeah. These damn politicians don't have power over this stuff. And I say this over and over, it's these corporations have the power. Anyways, say that way too much. It says Texas school district to replace some libraries with discipline centers. It says after state Republicans forcibly took over the Houston Independent School District earlier this year, it is eliminating librarian positions at 28 schools in the upcoming school year. It will also replace some libraries with so-called team centers, essentially disciplinary centers for students. Meanwhile, booksellers are suing over a Texas bill requiring private booksellers to rate books based on levels of appropriateness and banning sexual explicit material from libraries. This situation is so turning into a mess. I thought I had something that explained this better. Let me read some comments. It says, this is why Texas has 1 star on its flag. That's actually their rating. Hey, chill, bro. Calm down. I'm from Texas. Calm down, bro. Chill. Let me read this one. It says, it's all a play to construct pipeline that will funnel youth into low wages, military servitude, and or prison. Functional slavery. Oh my God. That's what I'm saying. That's the reason why it's like defund the public schools and go into the private schools. And all of y'all that support that don't realize what you really supporting. You're supporting the damn prison industry because, and low wage jobs because these kids don't have no chance at all. Everybody can't put their kids in the private schools. It's a reason why they came up with the public schools. Anyways, whatever, man. My voice is getting tired. I need to play something so I can take a break. Let me see. The thing with the UFOs, let's cover a little bit of that because, I don't know, some people might be interested in it. I'm personally not all that interested in it. It's like, they say we are the aliens. And then you got distraction. Like, what are they distracting you from? That's what I think. What is this UFO thing distracting you from?
Ms. Mace? Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning to our witnesses who are testifying today. I want to thank each of you for being here to discuss a topic of grave importance to our national security. Earlier this year, a Chinese spy balloon was shot down off the coast of my home state of South Carolina. Since the Roswell incident in 1947, many Americans have wondered about the dangers of unknown objects crisscrossing our skies. Whether these are UAPs or weather phenomena, advanced technology from American allied or enemy forces, or something more out of this world. So my first question, I have several questions, and if we can just be quick on these first two, I'm going to ask each of you the same question, and then I'll get to each of you individually. The first one, when you reported your experiences with a UAP, did any of you face any repercussions with your superiors, yes or no?
No.
No. I've actually never seen anything personally, believe it or not. So.
All right. And then do you believe there's an active disinformation campaign within our government to deny existence of UAPs, yes or no?
I don't have an answer to that.
As previously stated publicly, yes.
I think previously with like Project Blue Book, yes, but currently I don't speak for the United States government.
Thank you. I have a few questions for Mr. Graves. What percentage of UAP sightings in your belief go unreported by our pilots?
This is an approximation based off of my personal experience speaking with a number of pilots, but I would estimate we're somewhere near 5% reporting perhaps.
So like 95% basically don't report seeing UAPs.
That's just my personal estimate.
In the incident off Virginia Beach, do you believe the Navy took the danger to your aircraft seriously after it was reported?
Absolutely.
A few questions for Mr. Favor. As an expert naval aviator, have you ever seen an object that looked and moved like the Tic Tac UAP?
No.
Did the Tic Tac UAP move in such a way that defied the laws of physics?
The way we understand them, yes.
Many dismiss UAP reports as classified weapons testing by our own government, but in your experience as a pilot, does our government typically test advanced weapon systems right next to multi-million-dollar jets without informing our pilots?
No, we have test ranges for that.
It took over 15 years for your encounter with the Tic Tac to be declassified. Do you feel there was a good reason to prevent lawmakers from having access to this footage?
No, I just think it was ignored when it happened and it just sat somewhere in a file, never got reported.
In a drawer. It happens a lot up here. Shocker. Mr. Gresh, a couple of questions for you too, sir, this morning. What percentage of UAPs do you feel are adequately investigated by the U.S. government of the 5% that are reported?
I can only speak for my personal leadership over at NGA. I tried to look at every report that came through that I could triage. So.
Do you believe that officials at the highest levels of our national security apparatus have unlawfully withheld information from Congress and subverted our oversight authority?
There are certain elected leaders that had more information that I'm not sure what they've shared with certain Gang of Eight members or et cetera, but certainly I would not be surprised.
Okay. You've stated that the government is in possession of potentially non-human spacecraft. Based on your experience and extensive conversations with experts, do you believe our government has made contact with intelligent extraterrestrials?
Something I can't discuss in public setting.
Okay, I can't ask when you think this occurred. If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries.
Oh.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
Really?
And was this documentary evidence, this video, photos, eyewitness? Like how would that
Where are the pictures? Yeah.
The specific documentation I would have to talk to you in a skiff about.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. So, and you may or may not be able to answer my last question, and maybe we get into a skiff at the next hearing that we have, but who in the government, either what agency, sub-agency, what contractors, who should be called into the next hearing about UAPs, either in a public setting or even in a private setting? And you probably can't name names, but what agencies or organizations, contractors, et cetera, do we need to call in to get these questions answered, whether it's about funding, what programs are happening, and what's out there?
I can give you a specific cooperative and hostile witness list of specific individuals that were in those.
And how soon can we get that list?
I'm happy to provide that to you after the hearing.
Super. Thank you. And I yield back.
Crazy.
Mays.
So what's up with these people's names? Miss Mays. What's the other one? Mr. Graves. It's like that sounds like Mr. Gray. Let me see. Mr. Graves. I'm thinking Mr. Gray, like they say with the aliens. The other dude's name is Gruish. And the other one is Fravor. Who are these people? Anyway, so this guy said that they were non-human biotics. So I guess he's saying is, so but what does that mean? Like, really? And how come there's no pictures? Can y'all give us some pictures? Like, y'all just talking about it makes it seem less and less real or whatever. Give us a photo, Give us a video footage of the shit. Like, come on. Like, I don't know. I really don't know what to think about this. I really don't know what to think about it. I think I have another one. Is this a different clip? Let's see.
Do you believe our government has made contact with intelligent extraterrestrials?
Something I can't discuss in public setting.
Okay.
It's like, have they made contact? Something I can't discuss in public setting. That automatically sounds like yes.
And I can't ask when you think this occurred.
So these are another clip of that same clip. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. I don't know. Let's play a little bit of this. It's like videos of possible UFO sightings or whatever. A lot of these could be something else. Having to do with the cameras. But who's to say? Who's to say? I was talking to somebody and they were talking about how, like, the way I think of it is like, I've done reading on this. I used to be really interested in it, but until I came to the conclusion where I was like, I think we're the freaking aliens. But the way we use our technology, if you had advanced technology people, then the way they do things, I think, would be totally different than the way we do things. Like actually physically getting into a ship that has to fly, like how when we're trying to get to faraway planets or whatever, I think there's other ways to do these things, And one thing I was reading about, they were talking about, drones, right? And the ships that we see are really just carrying like carrying stuff, not people or entities. And so like, because like if a entity wanted to move over long distances, then they wouldn't use a ship. They would use something like a portal, Stargate type of deal, That's a rudimentary technology that we use, to actually fly in a ship and try to go long distances. And I don't think that's the way you do it, some kind of like wormholes, some kind of gate, some kind of portal would make more sense, I think. And I saw this thing where it showed all of these old pictures of like these what looked like gates or portals or whatever, and they were all over the place before, but they've all gone away, like they've been destroyed or confiscated, maybe they're hidden. But there's a bunch of pictures, you can look them up, from back in the day, where all of these structures that kind of look like gates, they kind of look like stargates or whatever. And like I said, I think that's the way that they would move. That makes a lot more sense than the ship, because the problem is related to, because anybody knows about, like, even with these fighter jets and stuff that we have, you know, our physical body can't handle those really fast movements, especially when they change direction, you know, really quickly. You know, what kind of technology would you have to protect your body from getting damaged from moving so fast and changing directions so fast? That's why I think that the technology would be different. It would be more like maybe something like Star Trek and those what do you call it, when you step on the little pad and then you kind of like disintegrate, and then they they put you back together in another location. Like, that kind of technology makes more sense than moving in ships like that. Whatever. This topic doesn't really it doesn't really get my engine going. Let's go back to this and see if there's some comments in here that's worth a crap. The caption is this: former military intelligence officer turned whistleblower David Goosh told House lawmakers Wednesdays that he had interviewed government officials who had direct knowledge of aircraft with non-human origins, and that so-called biologics were recovered from some craft. Goosh, who served for 14 years as an intelligence officer in the Air Force and National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, appeared before the House Oversight Committee's National Security Subcommittee alongside two former fighter pilots who had firsthand experience with unidentified aerial phenomena. So UAP. So that's what the phrase she was using. And the phrase that we used to is UFO, unidentified flying object. They're going with unidentified aerial phenomenon, UAP. So I wonder what is the difference in related to the designation, you know, the way that they're saying it. Is there something to that? Let's read some comments. It says, we've gotten to a point where aliens on the news and conspiracy theories are the ones saying they're fake. What a timeline. Another comment, it says, my favorite part about all this is most people I see or hear talking about this share the sentiment of, yeah, we already know. Can we please fix the cost of living though? I think that's where I'm at. Like, that's where I'm like, I'm like, you know, I think a lot of people aren't overly impressed with this stuff. And it's like, not really. I think that they think that they're going to be able to like do this like mass diversion or whatever that's going to get people to like really pay attention to it, or like if they do some mass spectacle of like aliens returning or something, and we'll all just like pay attention to that. But I think a lot of us will just be like, man, like what else is on, you know, like what else is new? Like, it's like, are they trying to destroy us? Are they bringing us food or something? Are they gonna pay my rent? Like, like, you know, other than that, like, I'm not, you know, it's like we are so tired, you know, we work all the damn time and paying all these damn bills. Like, we just. Let me read another comment. It says, imagine flying across the universe to crash your highly advanced craft on a non-advanced planet. I'm saying. It says, these gentlemen seem to be telling us what they believe to be true. Unfortunately, physical evidence will be the only thing that can prove that they are correct. Let's see if this actually goes anywhere or not. Another comment, it says, the U.S. government would rather admit there are aliens than tell us about Ghislaine Maxwell's client list. I'm telling you, bro, whatever happened to the Black Book? Whatever happened to all the, like, stuff that was in Epstein's freaking house. You know, when they arrested that guy, and that night they did like a raid on his house and they took a bunch of stuff out of there. Where did that stuff go? What happened to the list? What happened to the black book? What happened to all of that? We'll never know. We'll never know. That stuff is not coming to light. I think a lot of people will be a lot more. I'm way more interested in the black book than the freaking aliens. I'm just saying. Epstein's black book. Yes, yes. I'm all ears. Let me read another comment. It says, what a time to be alive, every generation since Stone Age. Another comment, it says, government denies alien existence. I don't believe them. Government confirms alien existence. I don't believe them. We're so like, that's us, bro. And it's we don't believe anything anymore. They've been lying to us about everything. Like, it's hard for us to believe anything. We don't trust y'all. If y'all have some integrity, if y'all start telling the truth a little more often, then maybe people will believe the stuff that you say. Like, I can't believe you. Don't believe you. I'm sorry. I don't. All the shit you say is a lie. The shit related to COVID, lies. You know? How many lies related to 9/11? Weapons of mass destruction, you know? All the major events that happened, lies. Tell us the truth about something and maybe we'll fucking believe you. God, stop fucking lying to us. Stop thinking we're so stupid. We're not all stupid. Let me read another one. It says, the fact that they are discussing this is itself amazing, something that has always been speculated upon. Another comment says, if they've been covering this up for so long, you've got to wonder about why they would choose to make it public now. Ding, ding, ding. Doesn't seem like a coincidence that they made this public in one of the highest stress periods of modern history. Yeah. Why now? That is a very good question. Another comment, it says, whenever the government claims to be transparent, I become instantly skeptical and start questioning everything I hear. I'm telling you, because they're not transparent about nothing. So whatever information they share is what you want to know or whatever. Like, it's guiding you into something or whatever, wanting to make you think a certain way or whatever. They're not telling you what you really want to know. Like, what's up with the Fed? Like, what's up with the dollar? Like, what's backing the dollar? You know? Tell us something that's useful. Another comment, it says, I wish government would answer questions this quickly and direct. Let's see if this is a diversion or if it's something more revealing will come from this. Man, let me read one more. I'm already bored with this. It says, I think this is a huge step in the disclosure process, and I hope many more are to follow in the upcoming days with photo, gallery, and video attached to it. We want to, where the hell are the videos and the pictures? Like, people just talking is not going to freaking, it's definitely not going to get my fucking attention. Show me the money.
Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Federal prosecutors have filed new charges against former President Donald Trump and another one of his aides in the indictment around his mishandling of classified documents. The charges accuse Trump of attempting to, quote, alter, destroy, mutilate, or conceal evidence, unquote, and inducing others to do so. Prosecutors also added a new count under the Espionage Act for showing classified national security materials to visitors to his Bedminster Golf Club. The revised indictment states Trump and Mar-a-Lago property manager Carlos de Oliveira pressured the director of IT at Trump's Florida estate to delete security camera footage so it could not be seen by a federal grand jury. According to the indictment, de Oliveira said, quote, the boss wanted the server deleted. De Oliveira is also accused of lying to federal investigators when he denied having knowledge of boxes of documents stashed at Mar-a-Lago. Prosecutors contend De Oliveira oversaw and even helped move the boxes alongside Trump aide Walt Nauta, who has already been indicted. This superseding indictment is not to be confused with a possible third indictment against Trump related to his efforts to overturn the 2020 election, for which Trump's lawyers met with special counsel Jack Smith's office Thursday. New climate data show July is on track to become the hottest month in human history, with global temperatures rising to about 1.5 degrees Celsius or 2.7 degrees Fahrenheit above pre-industrial levels. On Thursday, the head of the World Meteorological Organization said climate action is not a luxury, but a must, while UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres scolded world leaders over inaction on the climate.
Climate change is here. It is terrifying, and it is just beginning. The era of global warming has ended. The era of global boiling has arrived. The air is unbreathable, the heat is unbearable, and the level of fossil fuel profits and climate inaction is unacceptable.
The UN's warning came as hundreds of wildfires fueled by record heat continue to burn out of control around the Mediterranean. In Algeria, Croatia, France, Greece, Italy, Portugal, Spain, Tunisia, and Turkey. In China, Typhoon Doksuri made landfall today in the southeastern Fujian province, sparking fires, downing power lines, and shuttering schools and businesses. On Thursday, the storm lashed southern Taiwan after battering the northern Philippines, where it killed at least 39 people. Here in the United States, over 170 million people are under extreme heat alerts as sweltering temperatures spread across the country. On Thursday, President Biden announced a series of measures to tackle the impacts of the extreme heat.
We should be protecting workers from hazardous conditions, and we will. And those states where they do not, I'm going to be calling them out, where they refuse to protect these workers in this awful heat.
But Biden
Looks like he was struggling to read the teleprompter there.
made no mention of the fossil fuel industry's role in the climate crisis and continued to ignore calls from climate activists and scientists to declare a climate emergency. We'll speak with Congressmember Greg Casar, who went on a thirst strike this week in Washington, D.C.
I don't know how people can continue to deny that global warming is a real thing that's happening. Like, go outside, man.
In more climate news, the Supreme Court has cleared the way for construction of the contested Mountain Valley Pipeline to resume. The court on Thursday lifted a halt on a section of the project that had been issued by a lower court earlier this month after a challenge by environmental groups. Leaders of Niger's military have declared their support for the mutinous officers who declared a coup Wednesday against the nation's democratically elected president, Mohamed Bazoum. 2 days after members of his own presidential guard deposed him, President Bazoum has refused to step down. It's not clear who's currently running Niger's government. On Thursday, supporters of the coup set fire to the headquarters of Bazoum's governing party. Meanwhile, The Intercept reports a leader of the attempted coup was trained by the U.S. military at the Army base formerly known as Fort Benning, named after a Confederate general, which was recently renamed Fort Moore. Just last month, coup leader and Brigadier General Musa Saou Barmo met with the head of U.S. Army Special Operations Command, Lieutenant General Jonathan Braga, at a U.S. drone base in Niger, Africa.
Look how much this is happening. I saw a post that was showing, like, in the last few years, how many different African nations have been overturned with the military coups. And it's crazy. And then you dig into it, and it's always like the U.S. has some kind of hand in it. And then it's like these people don't get to choose who is running their governments, you know? And then people just want to be like, oh, Africa just can't get their shit together. Well, how come why people keep digging and freaking messing with their affairs? Maybe they could get their stuff together if people would just leave them alone and let them freaking choose who governs them, you know? It's crazy because it's like the people, especially if they go against the World Bank or the IMF or whatever, If they go against any of that stuff, all of a sudden it's a coup. Or if they're really trying to help their people, like, provide stuff for their people, all of a sudden here comes a coup. And then they're like, oh, well, it's just terrible people, like always getting in charge, like, like I said, they just say they can't get their stuff together. It's just corrupt politicians always end up in charge. But when you look at history and you really dig through the details instead of just looking at headlines and going with the narrative, then you find out that it was like the people was actually pushing for something different. And it's just like Haiti is a good example. Like, I don't know. I wish that people would just learn a little bit more about this stuff instead of like just saying, Africa can't get their shit together. It's definitely way more to it than that.
African officers trained by the U.S. military have taken part in 11 coups in West Africa since 2008.
11 coups. It says the U.S. military have taken part in 11 coups in West Africa since 2008. Gosh, leave these people alone. God.
The World Health Organization is warning of a growing.
It's like, do they really care? Like, are they doing it because they're trying to like bring democracy or bring freedom to the people or help them, or because they have corrupt governments or whatever? Do they really care? Do you think that's the reason why they're doing this stuff? Like, oh my God. And then you wonder why China is going at it in a different way and why all of these countries are willing to freaking trade with China and work with China, as opposed to the United States, when the United States is doing these things. Like,
health crisis for the 3.4 million people forced to flee fighting in Sudan, with rising rates of infectious diseases reported among displaced populations. Heavy fighting continues to rage in the capital, Khartoum, where airstrikes and artillery fire have killed at least 16 civilians this week. In Sudan's western Darfur region, a leader of the Masalit community says more than 10,000 people have been killed in the past 2 months. More than 300,000 people, the vast majority of the Masalit, have fled across the border into neighboring Chad. Refugees describe a harrowing journey to escape attacks by militias and fighters with the Rapid Support Forces.
I've been here for 13 days, and the people we left behind were killed in their homes. There are others who are trapped there, and the road remains unsafe. If there are 3 or 4 people, they'll kill them and take their belongings.
Russian President Vladimir Putin welcomed African leaders to St. Petersburg for the annual Africa-Russia summit, coming just days after the Kremlin pulled out of the Black Sea grain deal that allowed safe passage of shipments of food and fertilizer from Ukraine. Heads of state from 17 African countries joined this year's gathering, down from 43 African leaders who attended in 2019. Putin said Russia will be able to replace Ukrainian grain exports and promised free shipments of food to 6 African nations.
Yeah, so I was reading about this too. So he's gonna make money off of this deal. It's not like he really cares either, but it's markets. So it's, with all of the sanctions that they put on Russia ever since the Ukraine war, then Russia is just finding other ways to, move their stuff around. So then they're making deals with these different African countries so that they can sell their grain to them. That's what this is really about. And the Ukraine war, a lot of that is related to that too. The whole reason why Russia is, one of the reasons why Russia is fighting with Ukraine is related to like a breadbasket area over there.
Our country can replace Ukrainian grain both commercially and as a free aid to poorest countries in Africa, especially as we are again expecting a record harvest this year.
Russian President Putin also pledged to consider a peace plan from African leaders to end the Ukraine war. Among those spotted on the sidelines of the summit was the leader of the Wagner group of Russian mercenaries, Yevgeny Prigozhin, who was photographed shaking hands with a senior ambassador from the Central African Republic. It was the first time Prigozhin has appeared publicly inside Russia since he led a failed revolt against Russia's military in June.
This guy's still alive? He was okay, so he pops his head back out, man. You know, that's crazy. You know, they said they were going to give him a pass or whatever. That whole thing is fishy. Like, what the hell really happened with that, with the like coup attempt? How the hell could this guy still be alive and he's in Russia and shaking hands with folks and stuff, smiling and stuff after doing what he did? Fishy.
The United States Senate has approved the largest military budget in history. Its passage sets up a partisan clash with a Republican majority in the House of Representatives, which narrowly approved a military budget packed with anti-abortion and anti-LGBTQIA amendments. On Thursday, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer called passage of the Senate's $886 billion National Defense Authorization Act, quote, a glimmer of hope for the American people.
And a bipartisan process is precisely what the American people are yearning for. In a fractured Congress, Democrats, Republicans coming together to provide something as critical as our national defense.
Just 11 senators voted against the record military budget, 6 Democrat, 4 Republican, and Vermont Independent Senator Bernie Sanders. Senators overwhelmingly rejected an amendment offered by Sanders that would have slashed the military budget by 10%. Ahead of the vote, Sanders said the U.S. should prioritize spending on health care and social programs over a bloated military budget.
I'm saying.
Unbelievably, our life expectancy is actually declining. Our child care system is dysfunctional. Millions of parents unable to find affordable sites for their kids. We have a major housing crisis. 600,000 Americans are homeless. And oh yes, the planet is on fire, and the world we are leaving future generations will be increasingly unhealthy. But somehow, we never have enough money to address those crises.
You know, he makes a good point, and I'm not surprised that didn't make it, you know, and freaking, you know, for some reason, we always have enough money for the military budget, and it keeps increasing year after year. It's like, are we in wartime? Do we really have threats? You know, is it really someone coming like for us? Is that the reason why we spend so much money on the military? You know, and then, you know, and always slashing all social programs, you know, anything that helps anybody, we're cut. But we got plenty of money for the military budget when they can't even account for the money, like trillions of dollars just missing. Like, that's insane.
In El Salvador, human rights advocates are warning of severe due process violations after lawmakers.
If any other program couldn't account for the money, they would be on the hot plate. They would be heavily scrutinized, especially if it was a freaking social program. Oh my God, the world would come to a stop as far as the politics here in the United States. They would be like, oh, where's the money? Where'd the money go? Military budget missing money. They're like, meh.
Approved the use of
Give them some more money.
For the tens of thousands of people who've been arrested under President Nayib Bukele's brutal crackdown on gangs. Salvadoran officials said up to 900 defendants could be prosecuted at one time. El Salvador has been under a state of exception for 16 months, suspending several constitutional protections and leading to the arbitrary detention of over 70,000 people without access to legal representation or fair trials. Meanwhile, Honduras is planning to build an island prison to detain hundreds of suspected gang leaders. This comes after President Xiomara Castro earlier this month approved another extension of a state of emergency that's been in place since last year to tackle gang violence. In Ecuador, authorities...
That story is really terrible too. Like, I think it's just a money grab, and it's really sad because, you know, a lot of people innocent people getting swept up in this, you know. It's really sad on both sides. You know, the gang violence is a problem, but, you know, dealing with it should be more humane, I would say. You know, they could deal with it in better ways, you know, than the way that they're dealing with it. just sweeping up innocent. It's like children, kids getting swept up in this. And a lot of them, like I say, are innocent. Like they in the wrong place at the wrong time. But prisons make money. That's what a lot of people have realized, and the United States have, that's one of the things that we have exported is the way we do our prison system. They realize there's so much money in it, so other people are following, other countries are following it.
Authorities have recovered the remains of people killed during a prison riot over the weekend in the city of Guayaquil. At least 31 people were reported dead, but the toll could be higher. Ecuador's prison system has been plagued with violence and abuse, with prisoners facing overcrowded and squalid conditions. President Guillermo Lasso has declared a state of emergency in Ecuador and prisons. Over 400 people have died in prison riots in Ecuador since 2021. Back in the United States, data shows the rate of gun suicides among Black teens has topped the rate among white teens for the first time, as gun suicides reached an all-time high last year. The data compiled by the Centers for Disease Control also shows Black children and teens have a gun homicide rate 20 times higher than white children and teens. Guns remain the leading cause of death for children and teens, with the rate of gun deaths among minors soaring by 87% over the last decade.
Gun deaths is a leading cause of death for children. That alone should be enough for people to want to freaking make some kind of changes. But they're like, save the children. They're like these transgender people are grooming our children. Meanwhile, they're getting shot dead. Highest rates ever. But you're like, man, you're more concerned about them getting groomed than them freaking dying. Where are our priorities?
Last year, over 48,000 people in the United States died from guns, an average of one person every 11 minutes. And in Texas, the Houston Independent School District's eliminating librarian positions at 28 schools in the upcoming school year and will replace some libraries with so-called team centers, essentially disciplinary centers for students. The widely blasted move comes after state Republicans forcibly took over the Houston Independent School District earlier this year. Those most affected will be children of color in lower income areas. Meanwhile, 2 Texas bookstores and 3 national bookseller associations have sued over a Texas bill requiring private booksellers to rate books based on levels of, quote, appropriateness and banning, quote, sexually explicit material from libraries. Valerie Kohler is the owner of the Blue Willow Bookshop in Houston and co-plaintiff in the lawsuit.
We're not going to read them all. And for us to have to rate them, I think sends a message to the librarians and to the students that you're allowed to read this, you're not allowed to read that.
And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org.
The book banning thing is so freaking like 1984. Anyways, where are you guys? I got some political stuff I want to do here on Twitter. Let's do this. Let's start with this.
Near Eagle Pass, Texas. Wading past floating. Reuters captured drone footage of migrants near Eagle Pass, Texas, wading past floating barriers installed by the state to deter them from crossing the Rio Grande into the United States. The images come just days after the U.S. Justice Department sued Texas over the string of buoys, part of Republican Governor Greg Abbott's initiative to block migrants from entering the U.S., dubbed Operation Lone Star. In the footage, migrants can be seen helping each other pass through concertina wire, while others wade through the river alongside floating barriers. The DOJ lawsuit filed on Monday seeks to, quote, remove all structures and obstructions, including a floating barrier, and all infrastructure related to the floating barrier in the Rio Grande. On Tuesday, Mexico's President Andrés Manuel López Obrador welcomed the lawsuit and said Abbott was, quote, acting irresponsibly.
Le agradecemos mucho al presidente Biden.
We thank President Biden very much for having filed a complaint against the governor of Texas.
who has set up these buoys and wire fences at the Rio Grande.
A los jueces.
In addition to the floating barrier, Abbott's Operation Lone Star included the deployment of thousands of National Guard troops and a campaign to bus migrants to Democratic-led cities further north. Meanwhile, the number of migrants caught crossing the U.S.-Mexico border illegally has dropped since Biden implemented a restrictive new asylum policy in May.
So where are the hordes of people that's coming over? Like, you got this little group right here. And then, like, look how small this barrier is. Like, really, how effective is it? You know? It's all political, you know. It's using these people as political pawns, and then it's clickbait for everyone so they can get upset and get all in their feelings or whatever. And it's all about votes at the end of the day, you know. It's all about votes, you know. What's actually happening, nobody really cares. Let me see. There's some tweet replies. Migrants near Eagle Pass, Texas, waded past floating barriers and climbed through barbed wire to across the U.S.-Mexico border. The U.S. Justice Department earlier this week sued Texas over the string of buoys installed by the state in the middle of the river. And they said in the report that it's been a lower amount of people coming. So it's a lower amount of people coming across, yet Abbott is putting up this buoy system and these barbed wire system. Like, what is he trying to accomplish? Let's read some comments. It says, that is desperation. Another one, it says, the BRICS effect. Another comment, it says, worst administration in office in the U.S. in the history of the U.S. politics. Another comment, it says, unbelievably how poor our borders are these days. Look at the droves of people walking right in the country by the thousands, and almost nothing is being done about it. Where are you guys getting this? Like, did y'all watch the video? I mean, it looked like it looked like less than 2 dozen. It might have been less than a dozen
near Eagle Pass, Texas, wading past.
Like, how many people in this photo right here? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, like 14 right there. You know, it looks like 7 or 8 over there in that picture. You know, the other picture, this one, look, it's what, 3, 4 people right there. This one is maybe 2 dozen. What did this guy say? He says, unbelievable how poor the borders are these days. Look at the droves of people walking right into the country by the thousands, and almost nothing is being done. Where do you get that from? Where are the droves of people? Where are the thousands? Did you get that from this video? Because you must have been watching something else, because in this video, it didn't show that. Let me read another comment. It says, can we use less lethal deterrents like fire hoses and pepper shots to stop them too? We use them for crowd control. Another comment, it says, you and I cannot imagine how desperate these people are for a better life. Another comment, it just says illegal aliens. Like, that's all they had the muster of their fingers to begin. Might as well not even make a comment, bro. Like, another comment says, it's almost like stupid lane barriers don't stop people from fleeing and searching for better lives. That includes walls too. Another comment says, notice how Texas never goes after or says anything about who hires these same people they seem to always have issues with. Wonder why. Well, that's what the law in Florida is doing. So yeah, Texas benefits from these people, like, for sure, without a doubt. And Texas, at the end of the day, don't really care. They just want to freaking take advantage of these people. Like, you go to any Home Depot and you're going to see people out there, you know, and it's because, like, so they don't have paper, so they're going to take whatever work they can get, and then people can take advantage of them and pay them way less than they should. You know, a lot of these people are skilled workers too. Like, they really know their stuff. Like, they're really good at what they do. That's why people go over there and pick them up. You know, you just go to Walmart. I mean, go to freaking Home Depot. You got some work that needs to be done, and you could chop it up with those guys and find somebody who knows how to do electrical work, tile. I mean, you name it. And they're skilled at it. And then it's going to be way cheaper than the amount that you have to pay for to get it, you know, quote unquote, professionally done. So they don't want to fix this. It's all political. Another comment that says, why can't Texas protect itself? What the F? Federal government doesn't seem to work for the people. Another comment that says, I think it's great that someone is trying to do something. Well, he's not being very effective. Maybe he's trying to do something, but that something is. Another comment that says, racial apartheid. Another one that says, these people need to quit breaking our laws. And, you know, I feel like, you know, the process of asylum, the process of becoming a citizen or whatever is so convoluted and full of red tape, you know. That's a part of this story, you know. You got people that do want to do this thing legally or whatever, but they're in desperate positions and they can't wait 20 plus years to go through the process properly to come in legally. They're like, Chaka, you have a bleeding heart. Whatever. Breaking news, Justin Trudeau thread will be my next tweet. Don't be afraid to turn on my post notifications. Let's play this.
Minister, this morning when you approached President Trump before the meeting, did you apologize to him for your remarks last night at Buckingham Palace? And if so, what was his response?
We had a great meeting yesterday between me and the president. Last night, I made a reference to the fact that there was an unscheduled press conference before my meeting with President Trump, and I was happy to take part of it. But it was certainly notable, and I've had a number of good conversations with the president over the course of this day and yesterday.
When you told
why is this on my freaking feed? This is old as F. What was even the point? I don't know why this is on my feed, y'all. I apologize. This is super old. I don't see the relevancy. Let's move on.
But I just want to be really clear, Congressman. Congressman, look, nothing has been made public yet that shows us all of this. When and if it is, we will get back to you. We'd love to talk to you if you have the evidence to show. But at this point, we haven't seen, the public hasn't seen any of this hard evidence that has been brought up.
I don't know what you have $10 million coming from Burisma, a company. You know, they're accusing Biden they accused Trump of doing what Biden actually did, $10 million of bribery, and they fired a guy. I mean, you can follow the money, ma'am. And these are FBI informants. These are FBI.
Right, but it has to be proven. There has to be some proof. You can't just say it happened. There has to be some proof, right?
Well, what was the dossier on Trump? There wasn't really any proof. It was all hearsay. And now here you've got an FBI document, an official document showing that. So, you know, we can sit here and argue about it, and I get it. You've got your base, I've got mine, but I've seen.
I don't have a base. I'm a journalist. I don't have a base, Democrat or Republican.
I understand, ma'am. You work for CNN, but let's be honest. If you work for Fox, it'd be the right wing, and you all are the left wing. And I get it.
We're not.
It's politics,
I'm not.
as usual, ma'am.
You don't know my politics,
Yeah,
sir. You really don't know my politics.
Nobody believes that, ma'am. You can say that, and you can have your fingers crossed under.
But again, there has to be proof, sir. There has to be proof both with my politics and with whether or not Joe Biden is involved in this. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate you talking about UAPs and the issue with Hunter Biden. I appreciate you coming on, sir.
It's like the whole thing is like Trump does something and they're like, well, but what Biden did something, but Biden does something and they're like, oh, well, Trump did whatever. Like, why come we can't just be like, focus on the subject at matter and let's just deal with this, what we're dealing with, like, and let's look at the evidence and dig through it and see what we come up with instead of throwing in the name of somebody else. Like if you get arrested or if you go to jail, you go to court and you're in front of the judge and the judge is like accusing you of something and you're like, but what's his name did such and such. The judge is going to be like, what the hell does that got to do with what we talking about here? We're talking about what you did. Like, it's so crazy how our politics can be like this. Like, it doesn't even work. It doesn't work in a court of law. Like, it doesn't work in the law. Like, get all the way the F out of here. Stop talking about what the hell somebody else did. You know, it's like you get pulled over for speeding, and the cop is like, "Why were you driving so fast?" And you're like, "Well, the car in front of me was driving fast, and the car behind me was driving fast too. They were speeding. Why you didn't pull them over?" The cop's gonna be like, "I didn't get them. I got you." We're talking about you speeding. We're not talking about those other guys.
Supersede the rights of parents. Rules and systems are important, but they do not supersede the rights of parents. We want education in this country, not indoctrination in this country. We got it done in Florida, and we need to get it done nationally. And I got Kamala Harris coming down to Florida trying to create phony narratives because she understands Florida has stood up to the left's agenda. We have beat the left's agenda in the state of Florida. And so she thinks she can come down and lie about what we're doing in the state of Florida. I'm not budging an inch. We are going to fight back against these people, and we are not letting them take over our schools any longer. We are going to get this right as a nation. Rules and systems are important, but they do not.
I don't know, man. This guy here, I do not like this guy at all. Like empty suit. Let's see. Do they have some comments? It's got a GIF right here. It's like abject stubbornness, not a great trait for anyone, let alone a leader. Another comment that says, neither is she, dude. Another comment says, DeSantis is fascist. Another comment that says, would he look at it differently if he knew that Italian immigrants were being treated the same way Black people were treated in the 1860s by hangings, lynchings, and outright getting murdered in the street for being Italian? Would he care if he knew that? He knows this stuff. He's a really smart guy, actually. Let me read another comment. It says, okay, how did they benefit? Another comment. Oh, this is a GIF. That's pretty funny. Yeah, I'm not going to narrate that. Let's move on. Another comment that says, every time he opens his mouth, it's cringeworthy. I ain't going to lie. That's how I feel. Like, I'll be like, oh, this guy. He's talking again. Words are coming out of his mouth again. One other comment says, political bubbles are disgusting and interesting at the same time. That's kind of interesting comment right there because, yeah, so DeSantis is riding a wave is what he's doing. And like I say, he's really a smart guy and he's taking advantage of the political climate that we're in. He's using it to try to ride the wave into the White House. You know, that's his goal. That's what he's trying to do, you know. I don't know how successful he's actually going to be at it, but he's sensitive and completely aware of the political climate that we're in. And he's trying to take full advantage of it. Another comment says, LOL, come try that crap up north. We won't back down from our racism. Dies at the Mason-Dixon line. Try to get what she means by this. Come try that crap up north. We won't back down from our racism. Dies at the Mason-Dixon line. What does she mean? I know there's sarcasm here, but what is she trying to say? I don't know. These people be trying to act like they're so smart, and then they talk like this, and then it's like, what are you saying? Just spill it the hell out. Like, another comment says, You got to know when to fold them. Ron DeSantis missed that lesson. Well, he's doubling down. He noticed that doubling down works. It does. It works. And that's what he's doing. He's doubling down. You know, he's not backing down. He's not changing his like rhetoric or whatever. He's full steam ahead. That's it. It's like, I'm riding this train. This train is either going to take me where I need to go or it's going to crash. Either way, I'm riding this train. Another comment says, don't vote for him. Another one says, Kamala wears much more practical footwear than Boot Boy DeSantis. Oh, they're talking about the clips, the videos that were showing. Yeah, those pictures were pretty funny, ain't gonna lie, showing DeSantis in those boots. Another comment, it says, I'm not budging an inch because he's only got 1 inch. Yeah, like I say, he's doubling down. Another comment says, Ron DeSantis, my brother in Christ, you need to abandon this project. It's bad for Florida. I really think Florida is suffering under this guy. I really do. That's how I feel. And I think that he doesn't really care if Florida suffers because he got his own personal agenda. He doesn't care about the people of Florida at all. Another comment says, so he wants to be president for 25% of America. You know, and it could still work. The minority groups are really, really loud, and some of them are really, really powerful, you know, and our democracy is not very freaking democratic. So it doesn't necessarily, he don't need more than 50% of America to make it to the presidency. He doesn't need it. Oh, what they showing? The dirty fingernails. Another comment that says, still doubling down on it and pisses him off that VP showed in Florida right after. I don't think that it pissed him off. I think it's just, again, he's using that political climate. People don't like Kamala. So, you know, you throw that name out there and that's all you have to do, and it triggers a certain segment of our society. So he's using his political coins that he has in his bag. Another comment says, any accidental wokes, sounds like left agenda is being said a lot. Ha ha ha. Has DeSantis lost woke? Is he losing traction over his wokes, losing donors? Go woke, go broke. He didn't take his own advice. Left agenda is being said a lot. So instead of saying woke, they're saying left agenda. When I listen to these pundits and they say the left this, the left that, every other freaking sentence, it's like, what are you talking about though? Can you talk about something without saying the left? We should play a drinking game. We should watch like a right-wing pundit and take a shot every time they say the left. You're going to be under the table so fast. They say it so much. Yeah, and he's losing his donors. He's having trouble. So, you know, he really went with the the big donor way of going at his thing. So but if those people turn on him, then he doesn't have anything. So, and it looks like that's what's happening. So yeah, this guy, and I was saying for the longest that DeSantis could possibly have a chance to defeat Trump, but it's not. It's more and more looking like he's not going to make it very far. But who knows? These things can turn around. It happens a lot.
Radical abortion agenda are doing just what. And we can end Biden's radical abortion agenda by doing just what you all did recently here in Iowa. And that is promoting pro-life laws at states across the country. And I believe the time has come for a minimum national standard of a 15.
Come on. Come on. Come on, forget about it. What is going on?
Week ban at the federal level. And finally, we can restore confidence.
Wait. Oh, so yeah, he was talking
and we
about
can end Biden's
freaking, and I said this, and people was like, no, that's not true or whatever. I did a whole short about it, and I got a whole bunch of comments where people was like, that's not true. Those clips were from a long time ago, and da. What I was saying was that they were pushing for states' rights report with this abortion, situation, saying, hey, the states should have their rights to make their decisions based on abortion, related to abortion, talking about how Roe versus Wade got kicked back down and that upholding what the Supreme Court decided and all of this. And I was like, okay, if that's what you want to go with, run with that. But now they're saying we need a nationwide ban on abortion. Did he not just say this? I'm going to play it again. But, so which one is it? Is it states' rights or do you want a nationwide ban? Like, which one is it? You can't have your cake and eat it too. You got to go with one or the other. So just to sound right, just to be on the correct side of what your agenda, you want to say it's states' rights, and I uphold what the Supreme Court said. But now that you've won with that and you're going down that road, you want to go even further and say, boom, we're going to say national ban. And that's the opposite of states' rights, right? Am I crazy? Like, in that situation, you're telling the states that they can't, have legal abortions in their states.
Radical abortion agenda, doing just what you all did recently here in Iowa. And that is promoting pro-life laws at states across the country. And I believe the time has come for a minimum national standard of a 15-week ban at the federal level. And finally, we can restore confidence.
So that's the hypocrisy is strong, it's lies. It's lies. They just have their agenda. They have their and a lot of it is religious. This guy is evangelicals love this guy. Like he has a block of evangelicals, that love this guy. And it's because he does stay on the side with them always. Like, it's his, religious beliefs that drives him, So, pro-life to the end, and that's how you can stand. That's fine. But in the politics and in the law, then what happened to the separation of church and state? Not everybody in the United States are Christian. You could say it's a Christian nation, but you're going to be lying to yourself. It has never been that. It has never been that. I'll say it again. It has never been that. Okay, from the conception of the United States, it has never been that. I don't know where people have got this from. Or whatever. So, but the Christians, people, the evangelicals, they do have a lot of power or whatever, and they believe what they believe, and that's fine. But oppressing the rest of the nation on with your beliefs is where I have a problem with it, And like I say, you're going to say states' rights on one hand, and then you're going to say a national ban on the other hand. Which is it, bro? Pick a side. You know what I mean? Call me fucking crazy. This guy is dangerous. This guy is really dangerous. Like, you got DeSantis, who I just don't like him, and he's rolling down, he's riding his train or whatever. But this guy here is dangerous. He's quietly dangerous. Like, even when he was, when Trump was the president, this guy was getting a lot of stuff done, bro. Like, you didn't see it. It wasn't in the news. It didn't get headlines. But this guy was getting stuff done. And people know that, the ones that follow this stuff, they know what's up. Like, this guy here, this guy is scary because, people like this, they'll burn the world down for their beliefs. You know what I'm saying? This guy, he'll die for his beliefs, which is commendable. That's actually commendable. I'll commend that. Somebody who put their life on the line for what they really believe in or whatever. But those people who are willing to do that are dangerous. And he's one of them. Don't sleep on this guy. Let me read some comments. It says, it's just amazing how openly enthusiastic they are about a policy that is despised by a clear majority of American voters. Like, I think so too, but they have been so successful in getting what they want to get accomplished. And they've been patient. They've been working on this for years, like decades. They've been working on this. And that's how they got the people that they got into the Supreme Court. They didn't care about Trump. Like, a lot of people are caught up on the whole thing with the Trump and like the Trump voters or whatever. But the powers that be, the people like this guy, they used Trump, okay? Trump was a tool. Trump is a tool, okay? And they used Trump to get what they've been trying to get for decades, okay? And so he just followed suit or whatever. He bent the knee to them, you know? He didn't even realize it. I don't think he realized that he was being used as a tool. And they used him as a tool to get done what they wanted to get done. They've been working on it forever. They do not play. They're going to find a way. Like, they keep going and they find another way. Whatever doesn't work, they try something else. They are steadfast on what they want to accomplish. So, you know, they got the people in the Supreme Court that they want to get in there. They got these judges all across the nation, the ones that they wanted to get in there. Trump was the catalyst for that, allowed them to do it. And boom, they got accomplished what they want to accomplish. They don't care that the majority of the United States people don't agree with them. They have what they believe in, and they think that it's the best for everyone, and that's what they want to happen. You know, they want, you know, it's about control. It has a lot to do with control. It's egotistical. It's like, you know, the way I think is the right way, and if you don't agree with me, then you're wrong. So it doesn't care if I don't care if I'm the minority. I know what's best for all of y'all. And I'm going to make sure that this thing happens, you know, and they don't have to have the majority to get this thing done. Like I was saying earlier when they talked about the 25% related to DeSantis, you know, the way things are, it's not very democratic. These people do not have to have more than 50% to get done what they want to get done. Don't think that, because if you think that, then they're going to just keep on wiggling in and weaseling their way in, and they're going to get it accomplished, bro. Like, they don't have to have the majority, you know. Yes, most people don't agree with this shit. They don't. Most people would uphold Roe versus Wade. And, you know, the majority of Americans think that kicking Roe versus Wade out was a bad idea. That's just a fact, okay? But this minority group is really loud, and they're really powerful, and they appear to be more people than they are. So this comment says, it's amazing how openly enthusiastic they are about a policy that is despised by a clear majority of American voters. They don't care. They don't care. They're getting it done too. It doesn't even matter what everybody thinks or what everybody wants. It's not, we don't really live in a democracy. We don't. Let me read another one. It says, they're gaslighting. The Dobbs decision foreclosed any possibility of a national abortion standard unless Congress passes it as constitutional amendment. SCOTUS already said it was unconstitutional and should be left to the states. Yeah, but they said that with that particular case, if something else was to make it to the Supreme Court and the wording is proper, you're going to have a 6-3 vote, and that shit's going to come down. And it could come down to a national ban. It totally could happen, y'all. Don't think that it can't happen, because it can. They know what they're doing. They're not playing with this. Let me read another comment. It says, anyone who would ban abortion is simply no one to trust. If they have the good intentions as they say they have, then why don't they do something about the overcrowded orphanage problem, foster care, and all the other Band-Aid cover-ups that leads to the street? Yeah, so like that's what argument I make all the time related to these pro-life people. Like they're pro-life all the way up until the baby is born. Because if you were pro-life, then you would care about that baby after it's born. Does that baby get in food? Does that baby get in shelter? Do they have loving parents? Do they have health care? You know, they don't care about that stuff at all. It's just about the abortion only. Like, it's pro-life until birth. After birth, get in where you fit in, you know, go die, you know. Don't ask me for nothing. You're here now. It's bullshit. These pro-life people, they don't really care about life. Because if they did, they would care about children, young adults, old people, everyone. That's pro-life. Get the hell out of here with that bullshit. Another comment, it says, see why he's polling at 0%? That's not true. Another comment, it says, a Republican will not be president in 2024. Don't be so sure about that. The pendulum tends to swing back and forth. Biden has a really low approval rating right now. Even with whatever successes that he has had, he's an old guy. They're worried about his mental health. They're worried about his physical health. These are actually legitimate concerns. Don't be surprised if it doesn't swing the other way. I'm reading another comment. It says, reminder that abortion restrictions and bans have correlated with rises in both infant mortality and maternal morbidity and mortality. This is nothing pro-life about them. There is nothing pro-life about them. They end in slavery and death. Yep. So, yeah, it's so many horror stories coming out about women having to carry babies that are not going to make it, and putting the mother's health at risk, and all of these horror stories, You also got stories of mothers killing their babies after they're born, throwing them in trash cans and stuff. I mean, like, you've had this kind of thing before, but there's been an uptick in this thing as a result of them not being able to get abortions. So, I don't really agree with abortions. I ain't going to lie, but there's a reason why it should be legal. Let me read another comment. It says, and if they somehow get the nomination, at least a third of them will act like they never said it. Haley most likely, Pence least. Another comment, it says, but they promised they wouldn't. States' rights. They also promised not to cut Social Security and Medicare or outlaw gay marriage or to persecute LGBTQ. And here I was thinking we could trust them. I'm saying I'm going to copy this comment because this is freaking exactly what I've been saying. But they promised they wouldn't. States' rights. They scream states' rights. I'm not saying that. The other party says they promised not to cut Social Security and Medicare. They've been trying to do that. And they said they wouldn't outlaw gay marriage. They're doing that. Freaking liars. Fake. Read another comment. It says, that's fine. The citizens don't. Democrats say thank you. Whether we approve of the decision to have an abortion or not, we approve of a person's right to make that decision. It's the American way. The election will bear this out. You guys don't be too freaking confident on that shit. Another comment that says, I remember when they all said that they are just returning abortion laws to the states. Telling you, man. Another one that says, which is why we won't see Republicans in power until 2040 at the soonest. You are delusional if you think that. Delusional. Another comment says, what's the purpose of the Second Amendment again? Another comment, is this small government? Oh my God, here it goes. This is another argument that I've been making for the longest. And people are not hearing me. They think I'm crazy. Like I'm saying, like you're saying you're a conservative and you're all about small government. You're all about states' rights. The government shouldn't have any power over our life. People should have the autonomy to make decisions about their life. They shouldn't have federal overreach, and the White House shouldn't be coming into my house and telling me what the hell to do. But here you go saying you want a national ban of abortion. Which the fuck is it? Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. Do you want small government or not? Or do you want freaking the government telling people what to do with their freaking bodies? You can't have it both ways. You got to pick a side. Another comment says, don't be fooled by any of the hollow statues that come before you. Promise to look out for well-being. They're only there for elevated paycheck. This one, it says, "This is our country, not your church." Yeah, this guy here, y'all, he is dangerous. Don't sleep on that guy.
One of the things we need in our elected leaders, for them to tell the truth, even if it's unpopular. Donald Trump is not running for president to make America great again. Donald Trump is not running for president to represent the people that voted for him in 2016 and 2020. Donald Trump is running to stay out of prison. And if we elect, I know, listen, I know the truth is hard. But if we elect Donald Trump, we are willingly giving Joe Biden 4 more years in the White House, and America can't handle that. God bless you, and God bless America.
Who is this guy? He walks off the stage after getting booed. I think he was kind of hurt a little bit. Gotta be careful what you say. You gotta be able to feel the crowd. I mean, that's a big part of being a politician. You need to be able to feel the room, you know. This guy obviously was tone deaf on the room, you know. You could say these things, but you need to say them in the right context and in the right room or whatever. And apparently this wasn't that. And he wanted, I guess he had those words written down and he was like, I'm going to go with it. You know, didn't look like it went over well. Like, how do you think that you're going to, you know, he's running on the Republican side. You know, how much success do you think you're going to have when you can't even feel the room, you know, and you say stuff that's going to get you booed on basically off stage, because he walked off the stage right after that. Who the hell is this guy anyways? Like, I don't even know who this is. Former U.S. Representative, Republican, Texas. Damn, I should know this guy. He's from freaking my state. I do not know this guy. How many state representatives do we have here? We have a lot because of the population here in Texas. So there goes my excuse for not knowing who this guy is. I don't know who this guy is. He said Trump is running to not go to jail. Let's play it back.
The truth is hard.
Hold on.
You know, the people that voted for him in 2016 and 2020. Donald Trump is running to stay out of prison. And if we elect, I know.
So this person posted this. He said, heard Donald Trump is not running for president to make America great again. Donald Trump is running to stay out of prison. Crowd, boo. Let's read some tweet replies. It says, I don't think he felt heard. I see what you did there. Another comment says, more of this, please. It says, well, aren't we a bunch of drama queens? Booing won't change a thing, my dear crowd. But hey, at least you're good at making noise. If not, intelligent arguments, keep it up. You know, the thing is, Trump was planning on running ever since he lost. And these indictments and stuff came later. So I don't even think that his comment is accurate, saying that he's running to get out of prison. Now, him running could get him out of prison, but I don't think that that's his reason for running. You know what I mean? He was going to run regardless. You know, if none of these indictments came, he would still be running. So that's, your argument is not even, it doesn't hold water. Someone says, I like him already. Someone else says, so true. Another one says, but he's right. I don't think you guys know y'all need to know politics a little bit better. You probably, anyways. This one, it says, Donald Abbott Trump and Walt Costello Nada continue their indictment comedy tour. That's pretty funny, actually. It says, Walt, I need you to delete the server. It says, "Do you see the irony in that, sir?" That's actually pretty funny. Another comment says, "Telling the truth is an unpardonable sin in GOP, but still doesn't stop him from saying what everyone is afraid to say." Another comment says, "He hit the crowd with the hard truth, a truth they already knew, but hoped they could avoid." Yeah, like I said, I don't know how actual truth that is, y'all. Like, he could dodge getting in jail by running for president, and especially if he wins, but that's not the reason why he's running. It says the truth is kryptonite to the GOP. And the comment says, "It's crazy how unbelievably easy this is, and yet so few are willing to do it despite saying it behind the scenes constantly." These people, let's see. Wait, I think I saw something funny. Hold on. It says, "Between Heard, Christie, and a handful of others, there is a modicum of hope for sanity in the GOP." You use Christie as an example? Oh, these people do not know politics. Chris Christie? You talking about the crackhead? He's just mad at Trump because Trump slighted him. So now he's trying to get back at him. Like, he was all up Trump's ass when Trump was running the first time. Trump clowned him, and now he's mad about it. So if you guys didn't know, anyways, I'm not going down that road. Look it the fuck up. Look that shit up. Chris Christie was a bad example, bro. Those people did not know politics in those comment section right there.
Niger's General Abdurrahman Tiani on Friday met with ministers after being declared the country's new head of state by coup leaders.
Le président du Conseil national pour la sauvegarde.
It comes days after the leaders said they had ousted President Mohamed Bazoum over bad governance and worsening security.
À l'endroit de la communauté internationale.
The current security approach has failed to secure our country, Tiani reiterated on state television on Friday. The developments in Niger mark the 7th military takeover in West and Central Africa in less than 3 years.
The 7th military coup in less than 3 years in West Africa. This is what Democracy Now! Was talking about.
Tiani was also declared president of a newly formed military body called the National Council for Safeguarding the Homeland. The new leaders say that the council will exercise all legislative and executive power, with the constitution suspended and government institutions dissolved.
Constitution suspended and the freaking political people dissolved. Let me take that back.
Dissolved. African countries.
Hold on, y'all. I'm pressing too many buttons.
With the constitution suspended and government institutions dissolved.
So they basically don't have no constitution and don't have no freaking government right now. Supreme leader right there.
African countries, Western powers, and regional and international groups have reacted with alarm, insisting Bazoum be freed and democracy restored. Kenya's President William Ruto.
The Republic of Kenya joins the rest of the world to condemn in the strongest terms this unconstitutional act.
The upheaval has raised security concerns in a region where Niger has been a key ally of Western powers, trying to contain insurgencies by groups linked to Al-Qaeda and Islamic State. The White House's national security spokesman said on Friday the U.S. is deeply concerned by the developments unfolding in Niger, with U.S. cooperation with its government at risk.
Whatever. And then we heard in Democracy Now! That the U.S. had some freaking influence over this even happening. They always say one thing and do something else. Like, they always have these covert ass freaking things that they do. And then they're like, they really care about democracy. Like, we're spreading democracy. No, you're not. You're trampling on it. Let's read some comments. New repositioning. The powers that be busy, huh? Yep, they're busy, busy, busy. Another comment that says typical with laughing emojis. See, this is what I be talking about right here. These are these people that don't really understand. This is that, Africa just can't get this shit together type of shit right here. Like, you don't know anything. Another comment that says, this is a legacy of France that had left. France manipulates countries, buys militants, pays to generals for coup, ignoring the human rights and UN regulations and international law. And I talk about United States a lot, but France, bruh, and even to this day, these guys, they have a lot of influence, and these guys do a lot of really shady things, And you talk about the empire of the United States, you got to talk about the empire of France. How many countries speak French not because they want to? It's like taught in school and shit. They can't even learn their own languages or other languages that they want. They have to speak French. All their government stuff is done in French. That's why. And what does France have? Like, what do they produce? Like, what does France produce, y'all? Come on, I'll wait. You know what I'm saying? Why are they so rich and why are they so freaking powerful? Come on, y'all. The hell? Another comment says, both Myanmar and Thailand must be wondering how this can look so uncivilized. Another comment says, CIA, I told you. Another comment says, Drake, where you should have spent a meal to protect. Anyways, I don't think people really care about these topics. Whenever I cover this stuff, I don't get no freaking, people are like, meh. I think I'm going to wrap it. I ain't have nobody come in today. I'm tired. I got to work all day tomorrow anyways. Let me see. I think it's a couple left on Instagram. I'm going to do those, and then I'm going to get out of here. Let's see. It says a periodic reminder that Medicare for All would save $450 billion in healthcare costs and 68,000 lives per year. So believe it or not, Medicare for All would save $450 billion in healthcare costs. I know you don't believe it because you really want to go with this private healthcare system, but it's really more costly and it's less effective. It's true. The numbers, everything, the data is there. Let me read this. Robert Reich, he says, the question isn't how can we afford Medicare for all? It's how can we afford not to have Medicare for all? I know you guys don't believe it, but look it up. Another comment that says, added up, that 68,000 deaths adds to well over 2 million deaths just since 1980. The call for profit healthcare, an instrument of genocide based on socioeconomic class, would not be an exaggeration. So yeah, I think there's no coincidence that it is what it is. Another way of depopulation, because only certain people, wealthy folks can afford to pay for healthcare. So people that aren't wealthy can't afford healthcare. Therefore, they die earlier. There's no coincidence with this. Like it's the agenda. Whenever they say depopulation or whenever they say it's too many people, they're talking about certain groups. Another comment that says, tax the wealthy fairly and we could afford this. We could afford this right now. There's no political will for it. Another comment says people would, because it would save money. That's why we can afford it. It would literally save money. You drive all the costs down when you negotiate the prices. Anyways, we've talked about this hours on this show. Another comment says, people would rather gatekeep access to a better life for people they feel are beneath them or who they hate than to help themselves by demanding better use of our tax dollars. People would rather gatekeep access to a better life for people they feel are beneath them or who they hate than to help themselves by demanding better uses. We would all freaking benefit from this. It's really crazy. I saw something, I don't know if I have it on here or whatever, but they were talking about how previous presidents, man, where is it? This healthcare, Medicare for all, whatever you want to call it, has popped up multiple times, and it was different presidents who tried it. They weren't all Democrats who tried to get it passed, but every time it's like, well, the black people would get it, hey, they hate me, be mad at me or whatever, but the racism is the real reason why we haven't gotten it here in the States. It's the main reason. I don't want to go to the doctor and have these heathens sitting next to me in the freaking. Let me read another one. It says, your daily reminder that all Republicans are enemies of the people. I wouldn't say that. It's two wings of the same bird. There's a reason why we don't have Medicare for all or any kind of universal health care. And it's not just because of the freaking Republicans. And the Democrats pretend that they really want to get the shit, but they don't. That's that fakeness. Another one says capitalism is profit motivated, not human benefit motivated. So yeah, if you take out that and the profit model healthcare, then it would just make sense, caring for people and making sure that people get care, but it's all about making more money. But then even with the universal healthcare, they could still make money. So at the end of the day, it's not even about the money. Like I said, it's more about hate. Yeah. And the thing is, the donors, it's these corporations. That's what it's really all about. It's all the money going into politics. It's the lobbying, it's the campaign donations, and the Democrats and the Republicans alike. They get a lot of money from pharmaceutical companies, healthcare, the healthcare industry, basically. And that's the reason why we don't get it. Another one that says, it's really sad how healthcare has evolved. Despite improvements in pharmacology and interventions, we do not access based on the almighty dollar. One more comment and move on. It says, the misery of the lower classes energizes oligarchs who are unable to achieve satisfaction even with all their needs met. They feel cheated by their mortality and punish those with little or nothing for reality's offense. It's understood comprehensive universal single-payer healthcare is a necessity, along with other basic social safety net programs, but the oligarchs feel more alive denying them. See, like I say, it's not about the money. I can go to the doctor and you can't, so that makes me better than you. It says, Hunter Biden's plea deal was denied. Release the UFOs. It's pretty funny. There could be some truth to that too. Angry parent to school board in Oklahoma. Your fabricated culture war is hurting our children.
Inflicting casualties on our most precious population, our children. We're now short of Secretary of Education. Schools are missing grant money. Teachers are leaving in droves, and you're not doing your job. You make videos in an official capacity, ranting in your car like a child crying to his mom about a boogeyman that you and Moms for Liberty created. And speaking of Moms for Liberty, guess what? There's a nifty policy in parental school handbooks called parental opt-out. Read your parent handbook. If you don't want your child to read a book or attend a certain class, you can opt out. No need to threaten accreditation on baseless woke ideology claims. Religious freedom is already protected. It's simply not okay to push only one religion at a school event. My kids deserve to experience diversity. I believe in our teachers and librarians. They've worked hard for their degrees, and I trust and support educators. You're weaponizing our children for political gain, and I won't stand for it because the casualties and collateral damage is too high. Your antics have made the news globally, and it's embarrassing. A true state superintendent wouldn't be using their office to catapult them into political stardom. They would work diligently, officially, humbly and with integrity to make sure all children in Oklahoma, regardless of race, religion, cultural background, sexual orientation, or gender identity, receive a well-rounded education in a safe and inclusive environment. I am pleading with you as a parent and as an Oklahoman, stop the insanity, step aside and let someone who cares more for our children than their political aspirations take your place. And as someone whose oath to protect this country and Constitution from enemies foreign and domestic never expires, I will not be quiet while fascists in office try to indoctrinate my children by forcing Christian nationalism in public schools. Thank you. Fabricated culture wars inflicting casualties on our most precious population are.
It's kind of like the abortion argument. It's like, you don't like abortions, fine, don't get one. You know, why do you have to, put your beliefs and ideas on everybody else? You know, same thing with the books. You don't want your kid to read these books, don't let them. You don't want your kid to be in these classes that's teaching whatever, then don't let them. You know, what does your beliefs have to do with all the other parents? You know, the other parents, are okay with their kid reading that book. The other parents are okay with the kid attending that class, but you want to deny that to all the other parents too, because of what you believe. And that's not conservatism.
Hoover police detectives obtained warrants for the arrest of Carlee Russell through the Hoover Municipal Court for her actions related to faking her kidnapping and subsequently making false statements to detectives as they investigated this case. Her decisions that night created panic and alarm for the citizens of our city and even across the nation as the concern grew that a kidnapper was on the loose using a small child as bait. Numerous law enforcement agencies, both local and federal, began working tirelessly not only to bring Carlee home to her family, but locate a kidnapper that we know now never existed. Earlier today.
So police announced its charges against Carlee Russell today. She's the Alabama woman who claimed to have been abducted after stopping to help a toddler walking on the interstate. Police said she later admitted to making the abduction story up. They spent so much time covering that stuff. It was all down my timeline when it was happening. And I was like, this is a weird story. That's why I didn't even cover it in the show. I was like, something's not right with this. This one, it says, while Connecticut reduced its prison population by 50% and closed 10 facilities, crime fell to 40-year lows. Violent crime sank by 43% from 2011 to 2021. Prisons don't produce public safety, and yet the prison budget decreased by only $3 million. All prisons are for profit. So, and we talked about this in one of my classes this last semester, talking about how, how effective prisons really are and the reason why we have them and so forth and so on, and it's like, and I was saying earlier in the show, it's all about making money. These prisons make so much freaking money. It's just like it's a money freaking printer, these prisons are. And it doesn't, more prisons, more policing, it doesn't make you safer. It doesn't really help the community in any way. It has a negative impact. If anything, these people go to prisons and they learn how to be better criminals. They get out and they do horrible stuff as a result of going to prison. So, but people don't want the facts and figures and the logic, the data. It doesn't mean nothing. It's just when people are like, oh, it's crime in my community, build another prison then. This says Connecticut reduced its prison population by 50% and closed 10 facilities, and crime fell. So it reduces prison population and closed 10 facilities, and crime fell to 40-year lows. You don't believe it, do you? It's this one. It says Connecticut has done something remarkable with crime. The state cut incarceration in half while crime plummeted. It's an article by Wayne DiOrio, July 27, 2023. You don't believe it, do you? Of course, vastly reducing the number of people in prison has led the state to close a good portion of its prisons. The savings haven't translated. The DOC budget is $695 million for fiscal year 2024, a mere decrease of $3 million from 2008. because it's all about the money, you know. It's all about the money. So even if they, you know, they keep on sending money to these people, like, and it's all about the good old boys and my buddy system, you know. You know, a lot of the money comes from the government, your tax dollars, and it goes right into private hands, you know. That's what it's all about, you know. So even if they close prisons, you know, even if the crime rate goes down, the prisons still make money, and lots of it. It says, you've heard of factory towns, coal towns, and college towns. The U.S. has prison towns. In almost every state, prisons have been built as economic stimulus in rural districts and failing farm communities. All prisons are for profit. I could say this that I know for a fact. I have family in Riverside, Texas. It's right outside of Huntsville. And Huntsville is the prison. There's a huge prison in Huntsville. And basically, if you live in that area, you either work for the prison or you work at like a corner store or something like that, you know, like a little gas station or whatever. Like all the jobs for that area is the prison, you know, all the good paying jobs. So if you live in an area you make decent money, you work for the prison, you know. So yeah, they said prison town. That's basically what Huntsville is. It's a prison town, you know. You know, the prison is the whole economic viability for that town, you know. So that's what it's all about. You know, as far as people being guilty or doing crimes or whatever the hell, all of that's beside the point. You know, people making money, people having jobs or whatever. So, and I live in Texas, so we probably have more prisons than anybody else in the country, you know. Making money hand over fist, you know. When you have an economy that's based on a prison, then you have an excuse to build more prisons, or you have an excuse for the viability of those prisons. Like it's a what am I trying to say? Like it justifies its own existence, basically, you know, after the fact. Let's read one comment. It says, the court and prison system were corrupted by the 13th Amendment. The 13th Amendment only abolished private slavery. It allows government slavery for any conviction. In NH prison, slave labor stamps are state motor. Live, free, or die on license plates. Homeland Security's web pages on human trafficking says slavery is one form of human trafficking. Essentially, one government agency accesses the other local, state, and federal agencies of human trafficking. I'm sorry, I chopped that up. Yeah, we know about the 13th Amendment, you know. Anyways. Very, very sad. And that's why we got the schools the way that we do. It's the school to prison pipeline, you know. Defund the schools and hope that these kids make some kind of little mistake so they could go to freaking jail, or just become a full-blown criminal so they could be in and out of prison. I don't think I want to cover this. Let's talk about North Korea. Global warming, we said that earlier. I think I'm going to wrap it. Oh, let's do this one.
Was by obedience. Throughout American history, the political leaders have always exhorted the American people to be nice and quiet and leave things to them. But when very serious evils confronted the American people, they had to go beyond the congressmen and the senators, and they had to commit civil disobedience, and they had even to break the law. And the abolitionists had to do it. And right here in Boston, they had to violate federal law by trying to bring a slave away from the federal marshals. They had to commit civil disobedience. The labor movement had to do this. They had to violate the law. They had to disrupt things. They had to do all sorts of impolite things. They had the sit-ins of sit-down strikes of 1936 and 37. And only this finally brought that modicum of justice that the labor movement demanded. And the civil rights movement went through the same thing. And you know that Congress did not act on the civil rights laws of 64 and 65 until blacks went out into the streets and made a commotion. They did not do it on the basis of some polite discourse. You know, we have been brought up to believe that the American political system works beautifully. It is democratic. Congress represents us. The president is elected. He represents us. It doesn't work that way. Democracy depends on people speaking out, and in times of great crisis, on people creating a commotion. The violence of our time is caused by obedience. Throughout American history,
he said the violence of our time is committed by obedience. And you think about, like, I think about Hitler and the SS people, you know, just following orders, you know. It is what it is, you know. The powers that be rely on the fact that most of us are good people, you know, and we don't really want to, like, make a fuss or cause problems for others, you know. As long as things are good, you know, we don't want to be bad, you know. We don't want to do anything to hurt anyone or whatever, you know. And they use that, you know. The caption, it says politeness is in the way of progress. So us being polite is what they use to screw over everyone, you know. For us to make a change, it's gonna take you not being polite, you know. You don't, like earlier, Pence and the stuff about the abortions and stuff like that. It's like they're not being polite about that stuff. They, you know, they don't care what you think, you know. They want what they want to get done, and they're gonna do it by any means necessary. Like, and they don't care how you feel about it, you know. But us, on the other hand, we want to be nice, we want to be polite, and we want to think about other people's feelings and so forth and so on. Meanwhile, the bad guys, they don't care about that, so they win, you know. I think about history, you know, a lot of things that has happened in history and how, you know, people get conquered by being polite, you know, by looking out for other humans, like trying to feed them or whatever, like, you know, and then assuming that other humans are like you. Like, when you think that others think about other people's feelings, or they really care, or they really looking out, or, you know, you think that they tell the truth, that they have integrity, that they have character, that they have honor. You assume these things because you have them, but that other person doesn't. And then they use that to their advantage, and they conquer you. They take over your everything. They take your land, they take your property, they kill you, you know. And you was like, I can't believe these people did this, you know. I can't believe it. Well, believe it, because that's how they win, and they win over and over with that. I'm gonna wrap it on that. I might use that again later, because anyways, y'all, peace and love. Thank y'all for listening.